Welcome to the Explainer. So, have you ever tried to tell a friend about a funny conversation you had? Or maybe explain what your boss said in a meeting? Well, anytime you do that, you're using reported speech. It's something you probably do every single day, and in this Explainer, we're going to make sure you absolutely master it. Okay, let's dive right in. Imagine a friend tells you, "I'll be late." Simple enough. But how do you tell someone else what she said? Well, you've got two main options. You could use her exact words, that's direct speech, or you could just report the main idea, which is what we call indirect or reported speech. By the end of this, you're going to know exactly when and how to use each one.
All right, first things first. Let's get our key terms straight. Understanding this basic difference is really the key to getting it right every time.
Direct speech is super simple. Think of it like hitting the record button on your phone. You're just repeating someone's exact words, word for word, and you wrap them up in quotation marks. It's literally a copy-paste of what they said.
Now, indirect speech, that's more like being a storyteller. You're not quoting someone directly. Instead, you're reporting the meaning or the gist of what was said from your own perspective. And notice, no quotation marks, and the sentence changes a little bit to fit the flow of your story.
Okay, so this is where the magic really happens. When we switch from direct to reported speech, it's not just about dropping the quotation marks. The whole sentence kind of morphs. Let's break down the three big changes you need to look out for. The first, and honestly the most important change, is this thing called the tense backshift. Because you're usually talking about something that was said in the past, the verb tense also has to take a little step back in time. It's all about creating a bit of distance from that original moment. And you can see a really clear pattern here, right? A simple present tense, like I don't want, shifts back to the simple past, he didn't want. The future with will moves back to would. And a simple past tense, like I bought, takes one more step back into what's called the past perfect, she had bought. It's actually pretty logical once you see it laid out like this. The second big change is all about perspective. I mean, when you're reporting what someone else said, the I in their sentence is no longer you, right? So you have to adjust the pronouns to reflect who's actually speaking now. So this usually means that I becomes he or she. If your friend says, "My shoes are new," you turn around and report, "She said that her shoes were new." It's all about just updating that point of view. And finally, the third big change, updating the context. Think about it. Words that pin a statement to a specific time and place, like here or today, often have to change. Why? Well, because the time and place where you're reporting the sentence are almost always different from the original. So let's say on Monday, someone promises, "I'll phone you tomorrow." If you're telling the story on Wednesday, that original tomorrow doesn't really make sense anymore, does it? You'd have to say, "She promised she would phone me the next day." It just keeps your timeline straight. All right, let's keep building on this. What happens when we need to report questions? This is a little different because it's not just about shifting tenses and pronouns. The whole sentence structure flips around. So take a look at this direct question. You see that typical question format, right? The helping verb, did, comes before the subject, you. That's what makes it sound like a question in the first place. But check out what happens when we report it. It becomes a statement. We don't use that question structure anymore. See how the subject he now comes before the verb had left? The question mark disappears, and the sentence just flows like a regular statement. It's a report about a question. Now, there are two main types of questions to think about. If the original question starts with a word like what, where, or who, you just keep that word. Easy. But for a simple yes or no question, you need to add a new little word to introduce it, either if or whether. Okay, moving on to commands and requests. And here's some good news for you. You can pretty much forget about that whole tense backshift thing we just learned. For these, English uses a much simpler and more direct structure. It's basically a simple three-step recipe. First, you pick a reporting verb that really fits the tone, like ordered for a strong command or asked for a polite request. Then you name the person being spoken to. And finally, you just follow it up with the infinitive form of the action, which is simply to plus the verb. And this makes it crystal clear. The direct command, "put your hands on your head," transforms so neatly into the reported version, the police ordered him to put his hands on his head. See how clean and efficient that is? No tense changes to worry about at all.
Okay, we've covered the rules for statements, questions, and commands. So now, let's see how all of this works together in a pretty fascinating real-life story. So, this is the story of Bobby Mason. He lived in a small English village and was a bit of a local celebrity. But as it turns out, he had a very, very big secret. And right away, we see one of our rules in action. This is a reported request. His neighbors didn't actually say, "We ask you to tell stories." No, they said something like, "Please, Bobby, tell us a story." And that gets reported using that infinitive structure we just learned. They asked him to tell them stories. And here we go, a perfect example of the tense backshift. His original words were probably in the simple past. I played against George Best. But when we report that later, the verb takes that step back into the past perfect. He told them he had played. See how that works? So the story continues. When he was finally found out, the impostor had to confess. And once again, look at those verbs. Had impersonated, had started. We're using the past perfect tense because we're reporting events that happened even further back in the past. So what's the big takeaway from all this? Honestly, the best way to really master reported speech is just to use it. Think about a surprising or funny conversation you had this week. What did the person actually say? And how would you report it to someone else? Go on, give it a try. You've got all the tools you need to tell that story perfectly.